Hi friends, I'm Luna Musings. If you watched my first video, I had mentioned that I was going to eventually do a video on how my comic, The Lost and Forgotten, got started. It's based off of a 3-year Anima Beyond fantasy campaign that I ran with my husband and 4 of our friends. And this is the story of how it went from just a campaign idea to what it is now, a slow-going but getting there comic. It started when I discovered the artist Wen M on DeviantArt. I'll link him in the description if he's still active. I don't know for sure. It's been a long time since I've been on DA, since it's active and it's not, and it is and it's not. I never had a lot of success with it, unfortunately. But he was doing a lot of the art for the books for Anima Beyond Fantasy. At the time, there was only, I believe, the core book out, but he did a lot of the color work, or color pictures for it. I really liked his style. I mean, since then, some of my tastes have changed, and so, you know, you grow up, you learn a little bit more about art, and sometimes you can become a little more discerning, for lack of a better term. I discovered him when I was in college in 2005. Yes, I'm old. I've mentioned that. I'm 31. And so, down the line, my husband's taking me to a new game shop that's a little ways away from home, and I'm looking at all of the tabletop RPG books, and there's this one, Anima Beyond Fantasy. I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. I had no idea until I opened the book that this is what this was. This artist, this is the work he was doing. I got very excited, but the book was at the time very expensive. We were newlyweds. It's a little rough. And then a little ways down the line, my husband bought it. And I was so excited, I had done some D&D and stuff like that, but there wasn't really, something that had been calling me. And as I read the book, I was like, okay, this is a very interesting concept. You can do it seemed like you could do a lot more character-wise. And I later found out that it's the best system, not necessarily for ease, but if you want to, build, ridiculously strong characters, DBZ characters, whatever, who are blowing up mountains, that's the system to have. So as I'm going through this book, I start plotting a storyline, just very loosely in the world. I would always been a writer and a storyteller from the beginning, so I'm like, I like this idea, but I'm gonna do this with it. Mwahaha. And I'd only intended to do a short campaign. I'd only ever been a player in any of my other tabletop RPG experiences, so I wasn't really experienced, and so we were just gonna do a little short campaign with with my husband and some friends. We had kind of had a partial first session, but one of the players, who eventually will be Isaac's player, had to leave for a band practice, so we couldn't get a whole lot done. And one of the players who ended up Mal's player, he couldn't even be there. It was just a mess. So then we fast forward a little bit to 2013, and after we'd had a semi-good start to a D&D campaign, it just kind of fell apart. And my husband really, while he can DM, and he's good at it, it's not his thing. He'd rather be a player. And so I was like, how about we do this? How about we do an anima campaign? And again, I'll run it. And so we started planning. My husband and Aiden's player ended up, kind of re-recruiting Mal's player by hashing out Mal while they were all on a road trip. So, you're stuck in a car for several hours. It works really well. Isaac's player was working with Aiden's player in front of Mal's player's friend, and he asked to join, and I said, hey, why not? And kind of bribed him for a few things, and he became John's player. Our party was a tad too small anyway, so we needed a little extra. Guys worked on their characters, I worked on the first session, and we started May 3rd, 2013. I was a complete and utter wreck. I was making up words on accident, and, my crowning achievement was creating the word desinner, which is a combination of dessert and dinner. Though I'm not the only one who struggled with, the English, and I'm very glad for that. They were very understanding.
Okay, somebody besides me say something.
Chicken the mic. Chicken the mic? Did I just say chicken the mic?
You said chicken the mic.
Okay. What?
That first session, like, John's player, he didn't know me, had no idea what I was going to be like, and he honestly thought I was going to vaporize him when I was actually giving him something really cool. That was a great moment. They learned quickly that it was not my style to vaporize my characters. I'm not the all-powered, game mistress who wants to destroy them all. That's definitely not me. In fact, sometimes it was to my detriment. There are many times that despite all my planning, the guys would just go off in a completely other direction, and I would be left laughing and crying, cry laugh, for a solid 5 minutes, and it didn't, and in those times it always ended up better. They knew their characters in and out, so I didn't have to worry about that. We had sessions on Friday nights, so we had some interesting exchanges due to sleepiness.
I like Inquisition. No, you're not!
Sometimes we got a little salty, combined with the sheer amount of sass in the room. The sass was enough to, probably take out a small country. Sorry, Liechtenstein, the sass is coming for you. There was also some out-of-character shenanigans. It was very easy to end up like that, because you just get on a roll.
It really based on how angry you got when you got back, I'm guessing it's a lot!
What you just heard was my husband sneaking up on Aiden's player during a mostly serious in-character conversation that went horribly awry for a moment. There were ups and downs, of course, with weeks missed, players unable to make it, and sessions that ended on such a low story point that we were just all I hate the world, nothing is good, but that did make the high points in the experience so much better. We did do a few 7-hour-plus sessions. I do not recommend this. That's not for the faint of heart, especially if you decide to imbibe in some alcohol at the same time. I shouldn't have done that as the game mistress. That was a really bad idea. At one point, I thought I was falling out of my chair because I hadn't drank in a while. It was a bad thing. We ended the campaign May 1st, 2016, just shy of exactly 3 years later, with 59 sessions and almost 12 days of session recording, which I learned later was actually pretty unusual. With such a long run, we developed a bunch of inside jokes, and that's what this Malachi approved thing is that I'm doing right here. It may not be a good thing if you're Malachi approved, but it depends on how you feel about it. Or if you feel how you feel about Sanji from One Piece or Inuyasha's Moroku. In 2016, I began the actual comics, but due to some day job issues, depression, and anxiety, and finding that I had a latent tuberculosis infection, 2 months before my husband was hospitalized for a week, it was kind of a slow start until late 2017. But now things are looking up. My goal for this year is to eventually streamline things enough so I can give you all not just 1, but 2 whole pages a week. Wish me luck, guys. Love you and have lots of fun shenanigans.
It was a really good run.
Yes, it was a very good campaign. I got weird, and then it never stopped.
Anus rovers. That's what I got.
Colonoscopies of darkness.
Yep.
I should probably stop the recording now.
You don't wanna.
I don't.
Because it's over.
But all good things have to come to an end.
And the trinkety ones too.